A very good evening, good morning, good afternoon to you, depending on where you are watching us from. My name is Ambassador Benjamin Oswansa, and you are warmly welcome to the Power Impact Series, proudly brought to you by the African Seasoned Speakers Network, where we are influencing the next generation of Africans and the next generation of young people living worldwide. Today is going to be a wonderful day, and I'm sure you're going to love what we're going to discuss here. And I am glad to have in the studio a wonderful person who's going to take up this topic. But before we do that, or we're going to say, get into the chat area, let us know where you are joining us from. Let us feel the energy and the vibe in the house, and share this page, share the link. Let others also join us to learn from what we're going to do today. But as I say, just get to the chat area. Let me know who is in the house with me today, who is online with me today. Let us know where you are connecting from, and let's keep vibing and let's keep chatting. And as we're doing that, you keep your questions also coming in. But before we do that, let's start by going through our main breaks. Welcome to the Power Impact Series, and today it's all about health. We're talking good health and then keeping a good health. So, in the studio with us today is a wonderful person that you want to hear and listen to. Was he shares with us what he has for us today. The month of November will be dedicated mostly for health issues and then health topics. So, let's get ready and looking at our health. Right. Our guest today is a public health practitioner. Our guest is an author, and then our guest is a thinker of thoughts. Our guest will share about himself, and you're going to love to listen to our guest today. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the very first time on the Power Impact Series, is a young gentleman that you will love to hear and hear again. Ladies, with a round of applause, help me welcome Dr. Rudolph Mensah. Hello, Doc. How are you doing?
Hello, this is exciting. I'm excellent. I'm excellent.
It's going to be good in here. Yeah, so get into the
Yes,
chat
yes,
area.
yes.
Let's know where you are connecting from. Let us know where you are joining us from. And then let's share the page. Let others also come in there. Right. We are here with Dr. Mensah. Wow. Doctor, I just did a little bit about you, but since you were here, we want to know we want to know more about you. So if you could tell us more about yourself, we're going to be very, very happy about
Mm.
that.
All right. I really hope that I would make today conversational and less academic or medical and all those things. We will try as much as possible to do that. But like you mentioned, I am interested in public health. I did an MPhil after my some years of practice in the area of diabetes. And so that is something that is of concern to me, what we call NCDs, and non-communicable diseases, which is becoming quite prevalent in Africa and in most African countries. So I've practiced, sorry, I've left practice for some time. I'm currently working as a technical officer at the Ministry of Health Ghana, and plus a few other things. I do radio head talk show on Asampa FM in Ghana, plus a few other things. But I also write, and like you mentioned, I'm a thinker of thoughts. I say that because we have very few people these days take the time to think, and thinking is a very hard job to do. And so I often try to retreat and go into lonely spaces, what some people call meditation, some people call calmness, yoga. They have different names for it, but I call it thinking. And so I try to do that quite often during my time. But I hope that today I will share as well as learn from this platform and from the comment that we are going to get. And like I mentioned, I will try as much as possible to make this very conversational. and not filled with medical jargons or terminologies, so that we get to know what we are talking about.
Yeah, not to be filled with medical terminologies, as we would say, not medical jargons. The funny thing is, most people say, all doctors are calm and then they are good with their writing until they become fully, I mean, medical doctors, and then you can't even read their handwritings again. What accounts to that?
So, there are volumes and volumes of things you have to study. And there's a theory that the mind goes faster than the hand. And so, for instance, I want to write amodiaquine, or I want to write any of these drugs for you. In my mind, I've already said it, but my hand has to take time to write the forward, and I don't have that time. And so I have to find a way to, speed up my handwriting because my mind had already written the prescription. And that's how come, like, if you allow me to write at a normal pace, our handwriting are different. But in a consulting room, when I have to write something on a note, but I can't have the time, the luxury of time in emergency situations to write PARA paracetamol. No, no, no. I can just write one P, and the rest will be some lines behind it, and you know what I'm talking about.
Well, I thought it was a course of study.
Oh no, it's just,
No, you get all doctors doing that. They'll just do some scribbling. And the funny thing is, when you get to the pharmaceutical shop, I mean, they are able to read that, and you're like,
yes.
hey, were you all in the same class? Right. So we get it now. We get it now.
Yeah.
So the next time you go to the doctor and the doctor writes those things, don't be scared.
No. Don't be
Just get
scared.
into the pharmaceutical. And the good thing is they get you the right medicine as well. So
Yes, they know. They are smart, way smarter, The pharmacists are way smarter because they know the drugs. They know what you've written, and they have more understanding of how the drugs work. Some people can even come back to you and say, Doc, you should have given this dosage to this person, but you made a mistake on it, correct it. And so that work is teamwork. You need all the smart people in there, the pharmacists, the medical people, the doctors, the nurses, the midwives. I always try to make people understand it's not all about the doctor. When you go to the hospital, it's not all about the doctor. The lab person who is taking your blood and testing for you is as important as the doctor who is telling you what is wrong with you.
Right. So everyone is important. Yeah, not only one person. So it's kind of a network work that they are doing it. So you don't have one person doing more than the other. We all come together for your health. And that's the reason why the Power Impact series today is here with Dr. Mensah. We're coming together for your health. And we're going to talk about your health. And then we'll pick it from there. You are an author. How many books have you written? Or is it an article that I've written so that we can read more about it?
So I think I have 7 books now.
Oh wow! They are all written. They are all written the normal way, so we can read.
Yes, all written. That I think all of them are available on Amazon, which you can have access to. And I have one academic book, that is not nonfiction. The 7 books are nonfiction books that I've written. I have one academic book. I have about 2 or 3 research papers or articles online. But basically, I haven't written in quite some time. Maybe I would have to get back to it after this series.
You definitely need to, because you're ready to read. We're ready to read more about it. Yeah, let me give some shout out to those that have joined us and they are giving us some comments. So I have here Ambassador Prince Kodio Hilton. Yeah, he says, watching live from Ablekuma Agape. I have in here Rebecca Adrako. She says, watching from Accra, Ghana. I have here Yao Setre Nuama. Says, watching you live from Gomwa, France. More vim to the super host and the finest MC ever met. Ben, I am enjoying the program. Thank you so much. Let your comments start coming in because we're going to fly now. If you're joining us, you are joining the Power Impact series where today we're talking marvelously about something important that you're going to love to hear and hear over again with Dr. Rudolph Mensah. He is a thinker of thoughts, a doctor, an author, and a health practitioner. And then just a few minutes ago he shared with us all that is on his mind and who he is, and he's actually explained why you get doctors writing in some beautiful ways. Right, their mind thinks faster than their hands do the writing. So today we're going to listen to him and then going to hear him on what he's saying. I have here, I love Sarah Leone. He says, watching from Maryland, USA. Thanks for today's show. Thank you for coming. Steve Giggs, watching you all the way from South Africa. Thank you all.
Excellent.
Let it come. Let it keep coming. Our public health matters. So this is a great show already. That is it. We need to take it off. Right. Let's see the topic for today. Managing type 2 diabetes. But before that, what is diabetes and why do you have type 1, type 2? How many types do you even have?
Recently, we even discovered that the third type of diabetes.
Oh, there we go. There we go. A third
We,
type.
we came to know that there is a combination of the 1 and 2 in a way, but we have the 2 main types. Just that the description keeps evolving as we learn more and more about it. So, like I promised from the beginning, this is going to be conversational, and mostly for most of our local dialects. I don't know the number of people from Ghana, from other African places. When we say diabetes in Ghana, we call it a area, which basically means that sugar disease. So our basic understanding for most African people is that diabetes means that there is too much sugar in your blood. That is our basic understanding, but that is wrong. And that is how come most of us suffer from it. We have the type 1 diabetes, which basically, let me do a little bit of anatomy. We have something inside your body called the pancreas. This organ produces a hormone called insulin. The job of the insulin is when you eat any carbohydrate products, the end product of carbohydrates is glucose. If you did some basic science in junior high school, you should know this. This is not big terminology.
Where are my science students? Please get on board. You did science in the senior high school. Get on board here. Let's answer this question.
So let leave the comment. What is the end product of digestion of carbohydrates in the body? What is the end product? Put it in the comment. Let's see those who remember their science. And so the glucose is basically sugar. We have different forms of sugar: glucose, sucrose, lactose, like all forms of sugar. But the glucose that goes into the body, you need the insulin to open up your body cells to take it up, give you the energy to work. So in the case of type 1 diabetes, the pancreas has a problem. So it is not able to produce the insulin that the body needs to work. What means that in that case, you can eat a ton of food, but then you feel like you are still hungry. And then you don't have, the body is not taking up the energy to work. And so that those people, the first symptom they will see is that they eat, but they are never satisfied. We call it polyphagia. So they eat and then they still feel hungry. They are eating very well, but they are losing weight unexplained. Even though they are eating, they are still losing weight. It's because the body is not able to take it. And that is because the pancreas is not producing insulin at all. And so that is the problem with type 1 diabetes. And when we come to the type 2 diabetes, there are 2 issues. Either the pancreas is not producing enough insulin, or the pancreas is producing insulin, but the body cannot recognize it. So in some cases, there are people who are, let me use the word, overweight. And so they have a lot of fat tissues around their cells. So even though the pancreas is producing insulin, there are other conditions that causes this, but the body becomes insensitive to the insulin that is being produced by the pancreas. And in that way, it becomes difficult for the body to pick up the energy that is being produced from the food. And so when it comes to type 1 diabetes, it is, let me say, irreversible. Because once you have that issue with your pancreas, unless you are replacing it because you need an insulin, that is why those people have to be on insulin injection. So if you know somebody who has diabetes, who is injecting insulin every day, that is type 1. Because in that situation, the body is not able to produce insulin naturally. And so you have to give it the artificial, the manufactured one to keep your body going. If not, you can't function. And so it is a very serious disease. Most people don't even pay attention to it. But diabetes is more serious than even COVID or any other thing you face. Apart from the fact that COVID was an infectious and emergency condition, diabetes is a chronic, long-term serious disease. And it happens because usually we know there's a family history to it. So if your father, your mom, your auntie, or somebody in your first line of history in your family had diabetes, there's a likelihood that you may develop the same condition. And so that is type 1. And I will focus on type 2 because the type 1, like I mentioned, is mostly reversible. You can't do much about it except manage it. But with the proper combination of diet, drugs, exercise, you can reverse type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
You can actually change your type 2 diabetes to normal. And that is why I want us to focus on that this evening. So that if someone has type 2 diabetes, this is the case where your body is not producing enough insulin, or the body is producing insulin, but the cells are not recognizing it. What can you do? What should you do to be able to solve this problem? I had a friend who lost a mom to diabetes. They had a funeral just over the weekend, and it was terrible. And so it is very important for us to understand that I want people to get this. I know I'm coming up against an established medical system, and I've been in it, where they want to put you on drugs for months, for years, and they tell you that diabetes has no cure. You just have to take your drugs until you die. If it's type 1 diabetes, medically, yes. But if it is type 2 diabetes, I can assure you that you can reverse your type 2 diabetes. You just need to get the right information when it comes to your diet, your exercise, the drugs you have to take, and what you have to do to meet this criteria. So that is what I will leave. I will let out of the bag. Like, type 2 diabetes is when you have not enough insulin production from your pancreas, or the insulin is not being recognized by your body. But that is not the death sentence. You can reverse your type 2 diabetes.
Wow, you can reverse your type 2 diabetes. So, type 2 means what? Your pancreas is not being able to produce more insulin,
Yes.
or the one that is being produced is not being able to be absorbed by the
To be
body.
used, yes. Excellent.
All right. So,
You're a very good student.
what's a science student?
You see, it should be easier for you.
Hey, where are my science students? And then I have Ambassador joining me. Ambassador is online. He's a visual art student, so he's going to draw the pancreas for us. Don't worry.
Good.
Yeah. So, the type 1
Yes.
is the type 1. Does it mean the type 1, the pancreas is not also being able to produce the insulin, or it is producing it, but still is not being absorbed so well by the body? That's why that one, medically, it's a no-no to recovery.
Oh, okay. So, like I mentioned, in the past we used to describe it as a what do you call it? We used to describe diabetes as whether children onsets or adult onsets. We refer to type 2 diabetes as adult onset because you see it when you are older. And this is usually by your own actions, what you eat, what you drink, the time you eat. So I'll come to that. But the type 2 is you are born with it because it is something that is familiar. It's from a family history. Your dad has a condition. So people have what we call congenital conditions with their pancreas. Maybe there is pancreatic cancer, there is some pancreatic dysfunction where the beta cells, sorry, I promise I wasn't going to do a lot of jargon. The pancreas contains beta cells, which produces the insulin. And there is a problem with that. And so this happens when we are young. I had a 6-year-old girl who died from diabetes, from type 1 diabetes, because the parent couldn't afford insulin. You get it? And so it was more of a insulin is quite expensive. I really want to make a comment on it. I don't know from which country you are watching from, but I want to know how much you are buying insulin over there. I know people are paying $60 up to $100 in the US. Yes, for a vial of insulin. Some places are doing that, and there are places where
how long are you? How often are you injecting it? Or how often are you using
it's for life. It's a chronic condition, and that is why I mentioned that. There is a whole what do we call it? The pharmaceutical line of production for drugs for these days, and so when you talk a lot of prevention, it is not a popular topic. We want to talk about treatment because that's where the money is. If I treat you as a doctor, that's where the money is. But if I'm telling you how to stop the disease from coming, then I don't get anything from that. So basically, people like us who do public health, preventive medicine, we're not really that popular. But that's just by the way. I'm just joking. And so the point is that if you have type 1 diabetes, your pancreas is not producing insulin at all.
Okay.
And so you need to inject the insulin from the one they give you. In Ghana, it goes under there's a sponsorship. I think there's a Ghana Diabetes Association. I know there's an insurance that helps you to cover your drugs that you get for diabetes. And so when you are diagnosed with diabetes, the insulin you get comes to you. I think it's given to you for free when you go to the designated center,
Okay.
because someone is paying for it. But then I know there are other states in the US, other countries, places where the insulin is not free. You have to buy it. And so you imagine a 6-year-old girl whose parents are earning, let me use dollar, whose parents are earning maybe, are living on less than $100 a month. It happens in most African countries. How are they able to afford insulin? So it is a terrible condition. It's very terrible. And that type 1 comes with lots of complications. Men especially would even suffer what we call stroke. They can suffer stroke from type 1 diabetes. They can suffer impotence from diabetes.
Okay.
They can suffer neuropathies, like their legs feel numb. I once had a man, a 54-year-old man, who was he was a mason. He works at building construction sites, and he came to me and his leg was swollen. I tried to find what the problem was. I realized that there was a nail in his leg. He had stepped on a nail at the site, and so his left leg was swollen, but he didn't know what was happening. He couldn't feel the pain because he was diabetic.
Oh, okay.
So that is how come people get amputation, because they don't feel pain when they step on sharp objects. And so their legs will be swollen, rotten, and they don't feel any pain unless you cut off the leg. And so it is a very bad condition. So for type 1, the person is not producing insulin. That is how come you need to inject the insulin you need to keep going.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are joining us, we're talking about managing type 2 diabetes. And then doctor has taken us through. It's getting to me now.
I hope I get to scare a few people to take action.
It's necessary. It's necessary. We need to create that awareness, and then so that we kind of focus our mindset to it. Because as you're saying, once this gentleman went to step on the nail, he wasn't that way. Some of these things do happen. You might have it, but you don't know you're having it until it escalates to the highest point where amputation needs to come in. And we don't want that to happen now. That's why we are doing this whole thing. So now, just as you said earlier, so what health problems does it cause?
The complications of diabetes quite happens. The problem is that about 8 out of 10 people with diabetes don't know they have diabetes.
That's it.
And by the time they get to know, they've already been like 5 years into the disease. Wow. And so they are getting, late diagnosis is a problem for diabetes. It will cost, let's say, about 10 cedis, let's say $1 in Ghana to check your blood sugar. Okay. I don't know how much it costs in other countries. I would love to know. So most people under normal circumstances wouldn't go to the hospital and say, I want to check my blood sugar. They don't do that. I don't know how many of us here will know our blood sugar. Just leave it in the comments if you know, or the last time you checked your blood sugar.
Let it come. Let's feel your blood sugar if you know your blood sugar levels, right?
Are you aware of the level of your blood sugar? Or when was the last time you walked into any lab, any hospital, any health center and said, you know what, do a thorough checkup. Look at my blood, tell me what is wrong with me. Is there any infection? Is there any, check my sugar level, fasting blood sugar level and all of that. We don't do that. And in most places in Africa, we have a poor health seeking habit where we want to wait until the thing gets worse before we go to the hospital. And so that is very bad. And if that happens 5 years into the situation, you are now going to check your diabetes. Your body has already started deteriorating because of the condition. And so for most people, when we say that they have a type 1 diabetes or even just diabetes in general, they can develop what we call nephropathy. It affects their kidneys. And so they can even develop kidney diseases. Most kidney failure we see these days results from diabetes.
So it's interconnected, kind of.
It is interconnected. It is. And so there are people who have eye problems. About 10% of blindness in Africa is as a result of diabetes. It can blind you because there is too much sugar now stays in the blood. The blood goes into circulation and now goes into your eyes, and you start getting what we call blurred vision. And so you start getting blurred vision is one of the symptoms of diabetes. People like you don't see well, and they will never go to the hospital to check what's wrong with them. By the time you realize your eyes are all gone from diabetes, and I already mentioned that it can make men impotent.
Yeah.
Diabetes can make men impotent. Erectile dysfunction is also a popular complication. It can result in amputation, like I mentioned, because it makes your legs numb and you don't feel anything. And so you get infections. And when you get infections or you get any wound, it doesn't heal faster. Your wound can persist for months because of the diabetes. So these are all serious complications. Stroke is another complication of diabetes. Hypertension and diabetes can come together to cause havoc in your system. Now it goes together with people who are obese. I don't want to say fat, but like obese people or overweight. It is a problem also. And so these are all like common complications that people get from diabetes, and that is why it is important. I think this is a very important topic. I don't know if I already mentioned this month of November, worldwide, globally, is a diabetes awareness month.
Wow.
Yes, so we really chose the right topic for today's discussion.
We are in sync. Yeah, thank you for joining us. Yeah, I have some questions already coming up, but we're going to hold on to that before. Okay. Priesthood Bridge says he's watching us live from Texas. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. And I mean, I'm already getting heated up here because of this. So before we even go to the prevention and all that stuff, what are some of the things that will cause us to willingly and constantly visit the hospital for this kind of checks? Because I mean, as you just said, 5 years down the lane before you're going to know, before it's going to be detected that you have it. By that time, it has eaten a lot of things. It has gotten into you deeper, and then the next resort will be an amputation. What will be some of the lifestyle or some of the things that will cause us to constantly do this check, blood sugar levels? I'm still waiting for it from the comments, but I'm not seeing anything. So you can see that what you just said. It means what you said is real. Wow. Okay, so what will cause somebody to constantly do this, to just walk into the hospital or walk in and say, I'm coming to check? What would cause somebody to constantly do that?
Right. There are two things that I've realized from my practice. First of all, is it has to do with the health personnel. Most people can't walk into the hospital and do these checks because they feel like they will be harassed, they will be asked a lot of questions. I have to go and join a long queue, and I don't have time. I have to go to work, the traffic, and it is not really welcoming in most of our hospitals or health centers for people to just walk in. And even the places where they have pharmacies or other lab testing places, most people think private labs are expensive, especially in these times of economic difficulties in most African countries. People rather choose to buy a bowl of rice than to go and check their blood sugar. But this is not to tell the situation we are in. That is a rare life practical choice. The same way, if you go to some Western countries, people would have to choose between paying for rent or buying insulin. I've had real life situations where someone has to choose, someone who is earning maybe $20 an hour and a 4-hour job and has to buy $60 vial of insulin every week. It's tough decision for these people. And so just going to check alone is one important thing. Like I mentioned, it's not that expensive, especially in Ghana. You have NGOs and other places or other African countries who subsidize the WHO, UNICEF, other programs are there where there are subsidies to these things. And so if you don't know your blood sugar, I am charging you this week. Please, tomorrow morning, when you wake up in the morning, write it on your to-do list. I need to check my blood sugar. I need to check my blood sugar. Walk into any lab, walk into any hospital. Just tell them you are not here for anything. You are not here to come to see any doctor. You are here to check your blood sugar. Talk to the nurse in charge. You don't, maybe if you go and join the queue, you may be kept. Just talk to anyone. You check your blood sugar. You get your value. This is what you got. I don't know, but even if you want to talk to me, fine. After the program, you can always reach through my social media handles. Let's discuss your lab results because it's important to me. Early diagnosis can prevent all this impotence, stroke, kidney failure, kidney infections, and all this blindness that even comes with complications of diabetes. So, and the other end is that apart from the fact that most health centers or hospitals are not opening their arm to receive, we don't have a lot of wellness centers in Africa.
Right.
Like not hospital. People, it doesn't have to be when I'm sick. It has to
Right.
be, I'm not sick, but I've come. Can you just look at my liver, look at my kidney? Is that
Right.
something wrong? Is something going wrong? Most of us have lived for like 25 years. We've never done a liver function test. It's like you've been driving a car for 25 years. You've never checked the engine, you've never checked the oil, but you are driving it, hoping that nothing
Yeah.
happens to the car. And so, yeah, it's very sad these days when you see a 28-year-old young man and has kidney failure and they are trying to raise funds online through GoFundMe to support a kidney transplant or something.
Wow.
So, if that person is consciously seeking good health behaviors, he would have diagnosed the condition earlier and wouldn't have to need emergency surgery for that.
Right.
As I always talk about it, it's either you spend money now, some little money now, so you
Mhm.
are aware of your heart state, or than to wait until the situation gets worse and then you have to spend more. And so, yes, we all understand that you rather spend the money on rent, on food, on other things, but you can maybe every 6 months of the year, you can spend $100 to
Right.
do a thorough checkup, which is like
Right.
1,000 cities, like every 6 months. If you put aside 50 cities or 100 cities, I'm quoting in cities because I'm starting from Ghana, so forgive me. I'll try to convert it to dollars or to other
Nice.
African country currencies. But even if you save $10 a month, you can have enough to do a thorough checkup at the end of the year.
That's right.
So when people set New Year resolutions, I always say they forget about their health. I want to go
Exactly.
here. I want to travel to Kenya. I want to go and see the safari in South Africa. I want to go to Ghana and see the casters. I'm inviting all of you to come to Ghana this December. Yes, I'm
Right.
promoting my country. I want to go to the US, to Tennessee. I've seen someone watching us live from there. I've seen, so like, but you don't write down anything concerning your health. Like, I want to check my liver, I want to
Right.
check my kidney, I want to
Right.
do an ECG. How is my heart operating? Imagine your heart started beating in your mother's womb and it hadn't stopped. But have you checked it any day of your life to make sure it is in good condition?
It is working.
It is working, so you don't even check it. That's our problem. Until one day, someone gets a cardiac arrest, and we will say, "Oh, he was just fine. He was just here. How
Right.
come he fell down and died? Because you are not checking your heart. You don't even pay attention to it. And once it's beating in your chest, you think that's all. But the most important thing I want to say is that don't be stopped because, like, let's say, oh, the health personnel are not friendly, they are not welcoming, we don't have wellness centers, it's expensive. Please make the sacrifice. Check your blood
Right.
sugar. Just start with that. It doesn't cost much. What Let's throw this challenge out there. Go to any lab, any hospital, and just tell them that you were watching the Impact series, the Power Impact series
Yeah.
on the African Speakers Network, and you were challenged that on the 7th of November 2022, everyone should check their blood sugar, and
That's
you
right.
did.
To do that. Right. Right. You dare to do that. Wow.
Yeah.
This is wonderful. I mean, I'm enjoying myself and I'm learning a lot. Efuka Kelly Hope says, love this program. I've been really loving it
Nice.
because this is enough information for us. Okay, let me just move in here and then probably it will take us to this. Right. So it's the sugar. Is it which type of sugar? Is it the kind of sugar we're eating in that is increasing the sugar level of our blood, or it's another kind of conversion after eating something that is turning the sugar that is increasing the levels in our blood? Which of them are we looking at, or which of the sugars are we talking about?
Okay. Okay, excellent. So I think I'll use this to talk about the management and prevention. You know, most often we focus on, like, it's an excellent question. There are types of, you are science students, that's why. There are types of, there are types of sugars, and most people confuse every sugar. And it's so interesting to know that these days you find sugar in the most unsuspecting products. I saw one ketchup which had sugar in it,
Right.
you know. So you may think that you are not eating sugar, but as you sprinkle the ketchup on your fries and your I don't want to mention any brand, but your chicken and all those things that you eat, you realize that you are going to be getting all this sugar. And so the sugar we are talking about, we have the table sugar, which is the sucrose, the
Right.
one that you put into your tea, your coffee, your cocoa, your porridge, or the things that the beverages you take, like the one that the white sugar you put in there is what we
Okay.
call the table sugar. That takes a lot of time to be absorbed and it easily stays in the bloodstream. And so if
Okay.
you're somebody who has any history of diabetes, I am begging you to cut out sugar.
The one we
Please
eat.
try as much as possible. Yes, try as much as possible to cut out table sugar, especially some people want to feel the sugar on their taste bud, like your tongue, before they eat. If there's no sugar, they can't eat anything without sugar. I know someone who would put sugar in Milo.
Ah, yeah,
Milo
yeah,
has some sugar in there already, so why they have to put sugar into the Milo?
yeah. If
So
doctor
please,
is talking to you, just raise your hand. Just raise your hand.
I know we have some corporates in there. They want to put a spoon of sugar into Milo. So they take 3 spoons of Milo and 1 spoon of sugar, and then they'll add milk and they'll add I don't yes some powder into it to make it, thick. They want to eat thick, and then they'll fry some eggs with some. Please, when it comes to your diet, it's very, very important. So for sugar, I'll just give you this challenge for 1 week. For this week, don't eat any form of sugar and see how best it will boost your energy. Like, see how energetic you would be. See how it will change. You will feel a change in your body personally. You can try that. Cut out any sugar. So we have that table sugar, number one. And number two, we have the fructose, the sugar that comes from fruits. But that sugar is not as, in quotes, dangerous like the table sugar. So if you want to eat watermelon, if you want to eat banana, if you want to eat pineapple, if you want to eat guava, apple, they also contain some amount of fructose, but those are very, very okay to eat them. And so I always advise people, instead of eating, if you feel like drinking any, let me use fizzy drink. I want to try as much as possible not to mention any brand that we are popular with. I was always going to mention that popular brand, but I stopped. So if you feel like, some people in the afternoon, they feel like, let me open one, that fizzy drink, any drink that has the gas in there, please
Right.
avoid it.
Okay.
Please and please again, for 1 week, don't drink less soda, more water.
Okay.
You can tweet this, you can put it on Facebook. Less soda, more water. Just drink water when you feel like drinking that sweet drink. Whenever you feel like drinking that sweet drink that you always drink, please get a bottle of water inside, or get a sachet of water. I think now is a 50%, but that's fine. Get a sachet of water instead of buying the bottle of that sweet drink. So more water, less soda. That's very important. And then we have sugar that comes from this product, like I mentioned. These days, they are putting sugar into everything:
Yeah.
mayonnaise, ketchups. So when you pick any product, please read the label. When you pick any product, any drink, soft drink, please read the label. Make sure that the sugar content there is appropriate for you. So just read the label and make sure you are not taking in much more sugar than you need. That's number two. Number three, and then we have something we call the diet itself. What is a lot of carbohydrates or a lot of protein? There are different kinds of diet. The keto diet. I don't want to get into that for today. Maybe you have a nutritionist come and do that. But what I always advise people is that when you eat a lot of carbohydrates, like I mentioned from the beginning, it breaks down to glucose. And so if you have to eat a bowl of jollof rice, which by the way, Ghana's own is the best. If you want to eat a bowl of jollof rice, for instance, and you have one egg or just one small piece of fish, it means you are consuming much more carbohydrates than the protein. The body would store the carbohydrates as glycogen into in the liver. You store the so it's very easy to be converted to the glucose which stays in the blood. And so try as much as possible to eat a very well balanced. A very balanced diet here doesn't mean that you have to eat a lot of fish, no, but have enough protein and less of the carbohydrates, and make sure you take fruit servings throughout the day. So for instance, if you take any breakfast, let's say oats with bread, that's enough carbohydrates. Within the afternoon time, you need to get some apple or watermelon slices. And I know I'm saying this, then people will think, oh, they are expensive. Oh, I'll get hungry again. You have to take care of yourself. This is not about you get hungry again or they're expensive. The benku you will buy, you can convert the benku to one watermelon and
Yeah.
eat watermelon. It will fill your stomach and it will make you healthier. So that diet, you have to make sure you're not taking a lot of sugar. The sugar is the most important thing. Like I mentioned, the fruit sugar is not that dangerous as compared to the table sugar, the one we are putting into the porridge, into the oats, into the Milo, and all of that. And then look at the product you are buying yourself, the soft drinks. That's also a danger. And read the label so you know how much sugar is in there, how much salt is in there, how much preservatives, how much color, how much sweetness. Some people have sugar in there, they add sweetness to it. A lot of products online these days, they will see sweetener, color, and then they'll read it. Don't just buy it, check the expiry date, and then read the label and see the constituents as well. From there, the next preventive step is exercise. We are getting lazier by the day, and I'm not missing words. The sedentary lifestyle is getting worse. Because of technology and advancement, you take a ride, you order for an Uber, you drive your car, you get into we are not running, we are not jogging, and especially in Africa where our diets used to be laborious. I don't know how many of you here used to pound fufu and other stuff in your house. There's a machine for it. There's a machine out there for it, and so a lot of things that were manual have been automated, which has taken away the activity that comes with life and work and all of that. And so it's very easy to be lazy these days. I walked up the stairs 3 months ago at the office, and I was panting because I always use the elevator. And so I told myself, for the past 3 months, I'm never going to use the elevator. I will intentionally use the staircase so I could get some exercise. And if you don't make the conscious effort, it's easy. I get to the first floor, it's an 8-story building. So I get to the first floor, elevator to the top, elevator to the top. And I've been doing that almost a year without realizing what I was doing to my body. And so even though I see that I'm not putting on weight, I'm controlling my weight, but I didn't have enough stamina. And so for the past 3 months, I changed my routine. Use the staircase, no more elevator. And so you can also challenge yourself if it is at your workplace, go for a jog, run, do any form of exercise, but make sure that you're exercising. Exercise can help you to make the insulin more sensitive.
Okay.
So if you have type 2 diabetes where you're having issues with the sensitivity, exercising has been proven to improve the insulin sensitivity in your body, especially if you need to lose some weight to help you do that. Please exercise. It's very, very important. It's very so your diet, your exercise, and in a situation whereby you've been given a diagnosis, you can go on a drug which will help you lower the blood sugar whilst you work on it. You have several drugs. I don't want people to self-medicate, so I wouldn't mention any of them. But there are drugs even over the counter which can reduce your blood sugar while you work, exercise, and check your diet, because it won't happen overnight. But like I mentioned, you need to be conscious about your diet, your exercise, and then talk to a professional. Don't put it in your mind, especially that, oh, diabetes is a chronic condition, like you have to live with it for life. No, you can reverse your type 2 diabetes. You just have to pay attention to your diet, the exercise, and your drugs, and get the right information. You can change that.
Get the right information, and you can change that. Mama got Chelsea Akushika says, very educative product. Well done, Ben and Doc. Thank you so much, Mama Ga. And then Efo Kekelis comes back to say, Doc, please, thanks for such a powerful talk. Right. So I just saw that combining how to manage type 2 diabetes together with preventing it in his last speech, so I wouldn't go there again. But I have a question in here for you from Steven from Steve Biogex from South Africa. He says that my mom has diabetes and normally gets amnesia. Right. So the
Uh,
question here is, yeah, what type does she have? Say she has diabetes and normally gets amnesia. I mean, it's your time, you know it. Yeah, Steve, thank you for giving us some jargons in there. We had wanted to prevent jargons, but thank you for bringing it. So he wants to know what type of diabetes the mom has. Thank you.
yeah. I'm so sorry about the amnesia. It's not a really good thing for especially a parent to be getting amnesia. They can forget you, and so imagine you being a child standing in front of a parent and you're asking who are you. It's very bad. So, Steve, I hope that she gets the needed help, but it can be managed. Just make sure that you are spending the last years with them, not trying to remind them every time. Just go with the flow, and I hope that you can get all the support you need. But I will need to ask a few more questions to be able to tell you what type. When did
Right.
she get the diabetes? Did she get it? Has she been with the diabetes all her life, or she got it later in life? If she got it later in life, there's a higher possibility that it is type 2 diabetes because that is adult onset. But if she was born with it or she got it while she was young, 6 years upwards, then there's a likelihood that it's type 1, especially if anyone else in the family also has diabetes. That's her auntie, her mom, your grandma, anyone has it, then it is type 1. So this is also a caution to you, Steve. You have to check your blood sugar. Because your mom is suffering from diabetes, there's a likelihood that you can also suffer it. So there's a term you say that genetics load the gun, but environment pulls the trigger.
Wow. Let's go
Genetics
again.
loads the gun, but environment pulls the trigger. What it means is that you can't be born with the genetics to develop diabetes, but it is your choice in the environment where you are that will determine whether you will get it or not. So the fact that maybe your family member has diabetes doesn't mean you will automatically get it. And for
Okay.
instance, let's say someone has been born with the genetics to be to gain weight, but a person has been born into a country where there is famine. Will the person gain weight?
Nah. What is he going to eat?
Because there is no environment to pull the trigger.
Right.
And so you could be born with the genetics to gain weight. But if you start eating late, if you start eating heavy fatty food, burger here, soft drink there, you are pulling the trigger on yourself. And so if you have any family member or the genetically you've been predisposed to some condition, you still have the power of choice to try to control your diet, your exercise, so that you don't fall a victim of what is happening to you. Yeah.
Right. So you don't fall a victim of what is happening to you. Genetics loads the gun, but your environment pulls the trigger. Right.
Right.
That's fine. No wonder he is a thinker of thoughts, and he has
Uh,
he has just done it superbly for us. Yeah. From a Fua Chunebua Kodia, it says great insight, and then Bob Baden says very very insightful, and then Steven says thanks you dog. I think he asked the question. He said thank you dog, the one who asked the
okay.
question. Right. So okay, Bob says is it that sugar is solely the cause of diabetes?
Mm.
I know someone who doesn't like sugary stuff but is diabetic. Can I get some clarification in there?
Right. So, Bob, I think I made this comment from the beginning that, especially in our local dialect in Ghana, we call diabetes a area, which means sugar disease. And so, most people think that diabetes is caused by sugar. No, it is not the sugar that causes the diabetes. There are people who have type 1 diabetes because their pancreas is not producing insulin at all. And so when they eat any form of sugar, whether from their bangkun, their fufu, their rice, their yam, their cassava, the sugar stays in the blood. It is not able to be absorbed. And so the person doesn't like sugar products, but is diabetic is because the person may be having pancreatic or insulin deficiency. So it doesn't have to do with the lack of the not eating sugar. But there's another form where the type 2, what is dependent on how much sugar you are taking in, and if there's not enough insulin to process it, then it stays in the blood. And so the person you are talking about may be suffering from type 1 diabetes or other form of metabolic condition where there is no enough insulin, or the pancreas is not producing insulin at all. So yes, you may not be eating sugar, but like I also mentioned, there are times that you think you're not eating sugar because you're not eating white sugar, but you are drinking soft drinks, you are eating a lot of yam with less protein, you are not eating a lot of enough fruit, you are not exercising, you are not checking the time you eat. Although you are not eating direct white sugar, there is sugar in almost everything we eat. In almost everything there is sugar, and so it may be accumulating from those things. But most importantly, most often, if the person is not eating sugar products and is having diabetes, there's a cause for concern that the pancreas is either not producing insulin at all or not producing enough insulin. So it's important for you to do a test. It's important for you to do a proper test to know. Sorry, I'll be with you. It's important for you to do a proper test to know what is going on. Aside the checking the blood sugar, we also have something we call HB1AC, what is also a test that lets you know how your body is responding to the sugar. And that's why I said you can start with a blood sugar test, but when you talk to any doctor, there is a further test to help you see what the problem may actually be. But it is not about you eating sugar or not. Diabetes is not even about the sugar. It's not the sugar that causes it. It has to do with your pancreas and the insulin it produces or not.
Wow, this is wonderful. I am just loving whatever doctor has said to us today. And then you can keep your questions coming in because right after this commercial break, he's going to give us his last words and then we will be out of here. But I am so much in love with all that has been discussed. Stick around, don't go anywhere. Right after this, we continue the Power Investors.
Need a spark to kickstart your innovation? Looking for thoughts and talks to get things moving? Wondering how to navigate a future full of change and uncertainty? With the eye-opening stories of digital disruption, extreme customer centricity, organizational innovation, and global shift, our collective of speakers, MCs, and moderators will shift your perspective. Meet our speakers. For booking and interviews, contact us on 0246 054092 or send us a mail info.abscessnet@gmail.com. You can also follow us on all social media channels at AbscessNet Global, African Seasoned Speakers Network, influencing the next generation of Africans.
Influencing the next generation of Africans, exactly what we stand to do. And thank you so much, Dr. Mensah, for giving us all these insightful tips on type 2 diabetes. It's been a wonderful evening. It's been a wonderful time. And if you're just joining us, don't worry. That's the power of technology. After the show, you can go back and play the whole show and then pick the points that has been shared. These are valuable points that, hey, you wouldn't get it anywhere but on the Power Impact series. So Bob Baden, who asked the question earlier that you answered, is saying that, Doc, so per your delivery, it means one must involve a dietitian in our medical checkups. He's asking, is it part of the checkups that you do on a 6-month row when you're going for the medical checkup? Do you need to involve a dietitian in doing that checkup?
Yes. Excellent. Bob Baden, I thank you for bringing that up. I mentioned that your diet, your exercise, these are very key in reversing type 2 diabetes. So you need to plan your meal. I have a 7-day meal plan for diabetics that I share with some of the patients that I made. And so I can even make that available for those who want. But talk to a dietitian or a nutritionist so that the person can show you what to eat in the morning, what to eat in the afternoon, what to eat in the evening, especially if you are already struggling with diabetes or you have a family member with diabetes. And Ben mentioned from the beginning about pre-diabetes. There are people who have pre-diabetes. It means that their sugar has started shooting up, but they haven't been diagnosed with diabetes. And so you need to start taking care of what you are eating. And it's very important to know how much slices of yam you can take together with your stew, tomato, agushi. How do you blend it? And this will help you to manage your health perfectly. And so, yes, you have to involve a dietitian in your medical checkup. When you go to talk to them, let them talk to you about your diet as well. It's very, very important.
Right. Very, very important. And Steven said, I'm so happy to be listening to this discussion. And yeah, we are also happy because it's a wonderful discussion for us. Thank you so much. So we want to take the last words from Doctor. He will share with us his social media handles and if there is any program he's about doing or working up for from now till the end of the year, he's going to share with us. So Doctor, over to you.
Excellent. Yes. So thank you. This has been fun. I've loved sharing this information. I'll definitely go back and watch it later and see how this went. But thank you so much to Ben. Thank you for being a wonderful host, and thank you all those who joined us from South Africa, from all over the world, and those who are on Facebook. I'm seeing that people are sharing it on Facebook. Thank you all very much. But I had two things to leave with you. Tomorrow, go and check your blood sugar. Go and tell a friend to tell a friend, do you know your blood sugar? When you meet them, don't say good morning. Ask them, do you know your blood sugar? Tell them that Dr. Rudolph said that. Go and check your blood sugar. Please do that. Make sure you get your mom, your dad, your siblings to do that. Because if they don't do that and they fall sick, you are going to spend your money on that. So make sure they do that. And then plan towards discussing or learning more about your body, your diet, your drinks, and everything you do, so that you put yourself in a position to be healthy. You need to live stronger. Health is what? If you are not strong and alive, if you are not healthy, you wouldn't have even been able to join this discussion. And so I have a Google certified page. Just type Rudolph Mensah in Google. You will see my name. You see an author as part of my designation. It will send you to the link to my author page on Amazon. It will give you a link to my Twitter page, which is at Mensah Rudolph, Facebook Mensah Rudolph, Instagram means it's the same. The handle is the same everywhere you are. I'm on TikTok with the same thing. Rudolph is inspired. I share a lot of inspiration and health tips there. I have a YouTube channel as well, Rudolph Mensah, same Rudolph Mensah. You can check it out right after here. Those of you joining via YouTube or Facebook, you can do that. Yes, I think we have a hashtag in there. Know your diabetes status. I think that's that. You have to push it, Ben.
Right. Thank you so, Baden. Thank you for that, and then thank you all for joining. It's been wonderful. Okay, so what we normally do is that at the end of the day, we come up with a hashtag for the episode, and I'm sure Baden is itching and he's dropped one already.
Itching.
We're going to add it to the hashtag for today's episode. So it is about to drop now. We are about to drop now. All right. So we have a lot of hashtags today because it is all about it. So know your diabetes status 1, and then check your blood sugar 2.
Yes.
Less water, more H2O for our science student. H2O is water. Less soda, more water. So these are the hashtags for today's episode. It's wonderful. It's been a good time. And hey, he said it all. Check him on all his social media handles. It's the same person, the same name throughout, because you need to check your sugar or blood sugar levels. So this week, that is it for us all. We're going to check our blood sugar levels and know where we are. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank everyone for coming in. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for sharing your ideas, and thank you for the questions. Yeah, we cannot stop sharing the link. We can continue sharing the link and sharing it to all our friends who join us. Yes. And for the tips for the day, you can come and not get any tips from cybersecurity awareness. Yes. Today I'm going to share something with you on phishing links or phishing attack. Most often we do get a lot of messages. Those of us that are on WhatsApp or even Facebook or any of the social media handles, you do get these messages that you've on 60 gigabytes, 50 gigabytes of data from a network company, that you need to click on this link and then you receive it, or you've won a shopping voucher from a popular shopping mart that you do your shopping from. So click on this link and then redeem that voucher for the shopping. You know what the people are doing? They've sent in that link. It can be 2 links, either a phishing link or a malicious link. If you're using the link, the phishing link is going to harvest your personal information. And then once you hit on that, it's going to take you to a page where it's going to mimic popular or a particular website or web page that you have been working or you have been visiting, then you're going to portray or pretend as if it's the original website that you have been dealing with, and they're going to harvest your information. And you know what that means. They might take in your credentials, they might take in your sensitive information, and they're going to impersonate you and use it against you, or use it to get access into your online account. The malicious link on the other side are the dangerous ones, or very, very difficult ones. When you click on it, what it does, the sender or the one who sent it, the hacker, the bad guy, all they are waiting for you to do is to click on that link. And once you click on it, there are hidden codes behind it, and it's going to be executed. Once those codes are executed, they're going to open a back door to your device, to your device you're using, and somebody sitting somewhere else remotely will have access to your device. So you'll be co-hosting or cohabiting somebody on or in your device, and you think that you are the only person using your device. You're going to give access, right, to somebody sitting somewhere who can have access to your device. So the next time you see those messages rolling and then spreading or just going all around your social media handles, remember that there's no need for you to click it. You have no business clicking those links, because once you click it, you open yourself for the bad guys to get in there. Thank you so much for joining us for today's episode. It has been a wonderful time. It's been a beautiful time. And all we want to say is thank you to Dr. Rudolph Mensah for availing himself to share with us these beautiful nuggets. And also you for having the time to be with us on this episode to share and listen to what Doctor shared with us. As I always say, dreams are in levels. Make sure you get to the top level of your dream. On behalf of the African Seasoned Speakers Network and the Power Impact Series team, all we want to say is this. We want to thank you for joining us for this episode. Have a wonderful week. And hey, don't forget, this week, less water. No, less soda, more water. Know your blood sugar level. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful week.